I just thought he ran into a tough guy with a tough punch, and he took the punch.
When I watched that fight, I didn't think a crime was happening.
And Resto not showing any signs of fatigue. He's still throwing punches a mile a minute now. That bulge under the left eye of Collins has finally opened up.
I just thought he ran into a tough guy with a tough punch, and he took the punch, but man, this guy can hit because of the damage it was doing to Billy's face.
Bruising under both eyes, Billy Collins.
He's in bad shape now, though, Ray.
It has been a brawl. Look at Resto now. Collins is hurt again.
This fight should be stopped, too.
He was just pounding.
You did good, son. You're fighting hard out there.
And Collins had all the heart in the world and wouldn't quit.
And the final minute of the fight. Resto continues to wail away. Collins taking a real beating here.
Let me ask you a question. 1983 was the best year of your life,
Man,
but also the worst year of your life.
no. That was the best year and the worst night.
In at 156.5 pounds, in the blue trunks with white trim, from the Bronx, New York, Luis Resto. In the green trunks with white trim, from Nashville, Tennessee, Irish Billy Collins.
Round one. This is the one that's going to lose. Resto countering beautifully, Jake.
Yes. See people hanging on the rope. It's a tough night.
Good exchange. Good left to the right hand by Billy Collins.
Collins, right?
Good left hook.
Good right hand.
Good right hand by Collins.
Woo! There it goes. Oh, he got hit. He got hurt with that one. It staggered him.
Resto staggered him with the right hand.
He hit him again. He staggered him with a...
Seems to have a swelling over that left eye, Jake, or a cut. I don't know what.
They're both tough fighters. Now, let's hear the ground. I'm trying to...
And evidently said there's going to be an upset here. See him tiring either. I thought you know it's in jeopardy tonight, Jake.
You think? I know it is.
Let's listen.
He's doing it right now.
He's
keeping it up. He's keeping it up, and that's the only way you can fight this guy.
He's
Keeps up that pace. So he's got it. He's got it. And he's got the right formula. That's the only way. That's the only way. He took a lot of a little too late.
Yeah, he's getting hit even.
That's a tremendous pace.
Wow.
Tremendous pace.
Collins is taking a beating now, Jake.
Yes,
a real
he's been taking
now he has very little defense. Junior middleweight bout, corner of Billy Collins. That blemish, the perfect record, seems to be in jeopardy tonight.
And where I see it up. Look at this.
Final round coming up.
For me, can't lose.
Junior middleweight fight.
Low, but doesn't mean anything.
What a game fighter he is.
Yes, see it. Oh, bump.
Look at this. Jake, there are
Look at this. You don't want to stop. With 19, with 17, I bet they get up and give him a big hand the whole place.
The end of the fight.
It was by far the biggest beating Collins had ever taken. And when the unanimous decision was announced, a major upset. Panama lifted his fighter high above the Garden ring. Resto, the Puerto Rican kid from the Bronx with a mediocre record, had shocked the undefeated Irish Golden Boy. But then, as there always seems to be in boxing, came another part of the story.
When Resto crosses the ring and gives Colin the Judas kiss, as he's turning away, you can see Billy Ray's father's hand.
I don't think Billy Collins Sr., from what he told me, He even thought that there might have been something wrong with the gloves until the very end of the fight. Otherwise, he would have pointed it out. It was at the end of the fight, when Resto went over to congratulate him, that he grabbed onto the gloves and held on, and he started screaming for the inspectors, "These gloves, these gloves."
You can't hold it, Commissioner. All the pens on him, damn glove. All the pens on him, goddamn glove.
What's fascinating is to look at who Luis Resto looks at.
Not looking down surprised at the gloves or wondering what's going on or looking at Collins and saying, "What are you talking about?" But immediately turning to his co-conspirator and waving him over. Panama just jumps in and starts yelling, "Those are the gloves you gave us! Those are the gloves you gave us!"
That's the glove they gave us! That's the glove they gave us! That's the glove they gave us!
Resto was quickly taken back to the dressing room where his gloves were removed by referee Tony Perez.
They didn't want to take him off. They wanted to go out, and I said, "No, take him off. Take him off the glove. I want to see those gloves. I got a complaint here. I want to see those gloves." When I saw the gloves and I handed it to it, I knew there was something wrong with the gloves. There's something missing. Absolutely.
The decision was unanimous in favor of Luis Resto, but shortly after the fight, Collins' handlers charged that Resto's gloves had been tampered with, that some of the required padding had been secretly and illegally removed, adding extra impact to Resto's punches. The New York State Athletic Commission apparently was suspicious, and they impounded Luis Resto's gloves.
I saw 2 pairs of boxing gloves. Two had R on it and 2 had C on it. I observed a hole in the left and right glove that was marked R. Any layman could tell that the glove was tampered with.
It's hard to think of a greater crime in boxing than tampering with a glove. In an already brutal sport, removing padding offers a potentially lethal advantage. 2 weeks after the bout, a hearing was scheduled by the New York State Athletic Commission. Resto, Panama, and cornermen Artie Curley and Pedro Alvarado would all be called to testify. All 4 denied everything.
All right, it's June 29th, 1983. I'm with the New York State Athletic Commission. Purposes of this tape to record a hearing, Luis Resto versus Billy Collins controversy.
The hearing, it was almost a foregone conclusion. I think it was, in some ways, it was more for the process than it was for the discovery of a truth.
Punishment from the New York State Athletic Commission was swift.
Luis Resto was suspended indefinitely, and trainer Panama Lewis has been suspended for life.
I think it's the severest action we've taken in the 5 years that I've been at the commission, but I don't think it unwarranted.
18 days after what had briefly appeared to be his greatest victory, Luis Resto's boxing career was over. But the consequences of that night in the ring, for Luis and so many others, were just beginning.
I called one of my photographers, Ben Sharav, and I said, "You know what I want you to do? I know Billy's staying at the Southgate Towers. I want you to get there early in the morning. Bring your camera." And he took shots. I said to Ben, "I wish you had the kid open his eyes." He said they were open.
The next day, when he got off the plane, his father was leaving him. He was blind.
He had some sunglasses on, and he literally had to raise the skin around his eyes to take the sunglasses off.
It was like a horror picture, you know, and I guess I looked away or something, and I remember the first thing he said, "I'm your husband, look at me."
The bruises would eventually heal, but doctors diagnosed Collins with a torn iris in his right eye. Weeks earlier, he had been one of boxing's brightest prospects. Now he was being told to retire or risk being blinded.
He didn't think he could work. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't hold a job. He had cataracts. We fought all the time.
I did see him one night, Peter, and it was a uppercut that shouldn't have happened, that's for sure.
And I ended up moving in with my parents because I was afraid he was going to kill me. And I still loved him. For the longest, he would just sit in the apartment and smoke and drink and trash the apartment by himself. He wasn't Billy anymore.
Nearly 9 months after the fight, in the early morning hours of March 7th, 1984, estranged from his wife and infant daughter, Billy Collins Jr.'s downward spiral came to a tragic end.
He was depressed of hearing that he would never fight again.
Billy and the guy from next door, a guy named Johnny Duke, come in. And I could tell, you know, Billy was a little drunk.
There was a bar, not far from the house where you could shoot pool, and he wanted us to go. We chose not to go, and he left mad.
After they left, of course, Billy beat the crap out of Johnny and got the keys from him. And he told me that Billy looked at him and said that I'm just going to kill you, or I'm just going to kill us, or something.
Collins drove off a road less than